Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Awakened Living Podcast. This is Robbie J. Bone, and today I'm joined with Kandra, my partner, who's co hosting, and we're actually sharing a conversation and more of an interview with a dear friend, an elder, and mentor upon the path, Chris, and his partner, Deb. So, Chris and Deb are going to be sharing with us deeper teachings around living an awakened life, living love, including the Creator in every moment of our day. And this episode is specifically tailored around the seven teachings being truth, honesty, courage, bravery, respect, humility, and wisdom. And these are some of the core teachings that I share in my work with people. And so this is an exciting opportunity to share where they originally came from. So Chris was the one who originally shared these with me, and he's sharing some of his story and experiences and how these teachings found him and how they've helped him in his life. So I'm really, really excited for today's episode. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So yeah, buckle up, have a have a fun time with us. We'd love to hear your experiences and thoughts and reflections. So stay in touch. And if you want to learn more about these teachings, you can check them out on my website, robbiejbone.com. And without further ado, enjoy. Oh, welcome everyone to the call today with our lovely elder Chris and Deb. And we're going to start with a little prayer. So if you're watching this as a podcast or YouTube, inviting you to take a moment to feel your heart, to feel your connection with the earth, with the Creator, with your spirit. So Creator, Great Spirit, Mother Earth, powers, and those beings of pure love from the sacred directions, east and south, west and north, below, above, and within, to the power and medicine and spirits of truth and honesty, courage, bravery, respect, humility, and wisdom. We invite you here at this time. We ask that you would come and support us as humans to remember how to walk, understand love, and know love, and to live love. That our hearts can be open to receive that which serves us in this call and in these messages. And that we can also share from that space in a good way. I hope.
Thank you, Robbie.
Yes, thank you. So we're gathered here today with my partner Robbie, myself Kandra, and Chris and Deb Wise. And yeah, our intention for gathering is to really share the story and the history of these particular teachings that we have been able to learn through Chris and through his life story and through his journey and his family. And I've watched Robbie and Chris really have a deep, intimate friendship, really, but also a mentorship and an eldership there. And it's been beautiful to receive through that and to receive from Chris and all that Deb holds in that relationship and helps to cultivate and water as well. And so we have been blessed to be able to share these teachings as well with people in our community. And we feel like it's really important to offer the space to hear the deeper history and the story behind it. So yeah, we're really grateful to have you guys both here, and it feels like a long time coming for us to all sit in this space and yeah, to be able to share a little bit more with each other and also with everyone that's going to watch this or tune into this, however. And yeah, just inviting everyone to maybe pour a tea and get comfortable and just set up for something that will be a deep story and just a deep listening. And if you're driving, then yeah, just get present and open your heart to feel and listen to what's meant for you in this journey. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, and yeah, Robbie can share a little.
So yeah, I'm Robbie. I'm sure I've met some of you who are watching this. And yeah, I really appreciated that, Kendra. Really beautiful opening and sharing. And yeah, I'm excited for this moment as well. feels really potent to be able to share like this, and to also have this, for me, part of what is really inspiring is to have this as like a record for you, Chris, and for people in your life. And for me personally, these stories that you've told me before and these teachings are really dear and close to my heart. And as we all know, yeah, life is a tender thing. And you never know when the day comes that we have to say goodbye. And so in that way, having this is like a sacred thing for me that feels really beautiful. Um, and also a way for your heart and prayer to ripple out, Chris and Deb, to reach more people. And so, um, yeah, that being said, we would love to hear from you, Chris, especially the beginning of the teachings for you, kind of how they all came to be from their origins, both their origins is thousands and thousands and thousands of years old, as well as the origins within your own life. And as a boy, what brought you to them, and how Creator kind of forced you to learn them more times than one, but especially as a child, created some seemingly unfortunate circumstances for you to really learn something that has blessed so many people in your own life. So, um, yeah, I would love to have some story time with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Oh,
There goes the camera.
that's the beauty about our culture. When we get too serious, he steps in and makes things funny. uh, Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here and to be able to share this. I'm sure a lot of what has caused this to occur, which is a good thing, is that I had a heart attack here a year ago and heart surgery here in September. And so that kind of, reminds everybody that, man, it could be any second. We could just be gone. And those things that we know and those things that we understand and live and do in a good way could be gone. And if we don't share those things with other people, then the opportunity for them to be passed on and to be carried on in a good way so that others can live in a good way comes to a stop. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm honored to have my beautiful wife, Deb, with me. She's walked with me for a good number of years, and we've really seen some ups and some downs and some physical setbacks and growth and a lot of spiritual growth in that time that we've walked together. And it's been a beautiful story. And sometime maybe we can share our story and how we came to know each other, because it's a remarkable thing. We have miracles every day in our lives. And the question is, do we see them? Do we know that they happen? Do we know how they happen? Do we understand why they happen and what it is that they're guiding us to go do and be, and who it is we're supposed to be? I see a lot of people come to me and they say, oh, I want to know my purpose. I want to understand what it is that I'm supposed to do. The foundation of all of these teachings are two things that were given to us as human beings to do, to live. And that is walk and talk every second of the day with the Creator and take care of the things that He gives to us that sustain us. And that's the essence of the teachings. That's the essence of living life in a good way. Is that every second of the day, the Creator is my best friend. And I walk with Him and I talk with Him all the times continuously. And it's amazing how people, think of God as this like bearded guy sitting off in the stratosphere somewhere in, space or time. And no, He's this being that is continually with us, that feeds us energy if we just ask Him to be here, that can sustain us without anything else. We just need that. Recently, a conversation I had was expressed to me that the only thing that matters is love. All the rest of it is nonsense. If we don't live love, we've done nothing. That's like super deep, because how do you live love? Isn't that the question? I mean, that's the number one question I get from people. Well, how do you do that? Christians have said to me, how do you read the Bible? And I say, no. And they say, why not? Don't you think it's true? And I said, well, yeah, there's a lot of truth there, and it's a good book. Nothing wrong with it at all. You know, so, but I don't need to read it. And they said, well, why not? And I said, because I talk to God. And if you could have a conversation with God like we're having a conversation right now, would you read any book? Would you need to read a book? Since you have the source that already knows everything, what could you possibly learn from a book that you couldn't learn from him? And he's willing to share the knowledge. He's willing to do it. All you have to do is take the time to hear him. My wife shared with me years ago that Creator talked to her about, he talks to everybody, but not everyone hears him, because not everyone takes the time to listen.
They don't choose to listen.
We decide not to. So for me, my life has been how these teachings came into my life and how these things happened to me is by his design. And when I look back on the 61 years that I've lived, you know, when I was younger, I thought it was this like crazy up and down, all around chaotic life and path, and it made no sense, or there was no rhyme or reason to any of it. And then later on, I looked back and I saw that it was a straight line, that everything that I had experienced, everything I had lived through, everything I had learned and done was to bring me to this moment in time, to have me ready and prepared for this moment in time, and have me ready for every moment in time. And so then all I have to do to be fulfilled in time is to be, to exist, to share the space with the Creator, to make the space available for him to share. It's kind of like you go to a party, right? And all your friends call you on the phone. They go, hey man, we're going to a party. We're going to go have a good time. And they come and pick you up at the house, and they drive you to the party. And you get there, and when you get to the front door to walk into where the party's at, they go, oh, what? But you can't come in. We're doing stuff in here that we don't want you to see. Why would you invite a friend to a party and then not take him into the party? The Creator's our friend. If you just take him everywhere you go, he's there with you. It's just that simple. It's very easy. When I was really a little child, 4 years old, and I have memories that I remember things from when I was like 6 months old, a year old, year and a half old. My mom always goes, well, that's impossible that you would remember that. And you were just a little baby, but I remember it as though it was yesterday. When I was 4, I was bitten by a black widow spider. It almost killed me. It really did a job on me physically. I was young, very vulnerable, and that poison racing through my system was not good. Afterwards, I recovered physically from it, but I had night terrors. It opened up a part of myself that I didn't understand. And I would see things and experience things and understand things that was beyond what I should have known at 4 years of age. And it was frightening to me. Of course, we went to the church and they exorcised me. I'm still evil. It didn't help. Went to psychologists. They did treatments. They didn't help. My father, who was half Chiricahua Apache, took me to my grandfather, who then I spent summers with until I was 11 years of age. So every summer he would come collect me, and we would run the mountains, and he would teach me the medicines, and he would show me things and help me understand things that was going on in my dreams and in my head so that I could cope with what was going on. How he taught me those things was through the 7 teachings, by living the purpose of man. It didn't matter that I was having all these dreams that I didn't understand that scared me. What mattered was how I lived my everyday life. And he showed me how to live my life in a good way. He taught me truth. He taught me what is true. The truth is the sun comes up every day. He taught me to be honest. Honesty is recognizing that the sun is up there every day. Taught me courage. Don't be afraid of the dark and the cold, because tomorrow the sun's going to come up. He taught me bravery, how to sit there through the night and not worry about what was dark, because the sun's going to come up. He taught me to respect all things in nature. And when you respect all things in nature, you can sit in nature in the dark and nature won't hurt you. He taught me humility, how to understand that everything lives on this planet is equal to me. Not greater than me, not less than me, not for me to use, but as my equal.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me how to be humble before all living things, including my fellow man. Through those first 6 teachings, I began to understand the dreams. I began to understand the visions I was seeing. I began to understand the things that the Creator was sharing with me in the night. Then I stopped fearing those things. I began to learn from those things and grow from those things, become a better man because of those things. I began to understand my conditioning and how to overcome that conditioning, how to live in non-judgment. 61 now. It's an awesome age. I love growing old. It's just like that new door that you get to go in. You know, it's like when you're a little baby, you realize that you're in this new beginning because you're new, you know, and you get to learn all these things, and just all around you is just knowledge just coming at you, just absorbing it, you know. And I remember when I was a youth, young boy, I was so physical. Man, I could run like a deer, you know. I could play sports. I could, man, fight, anything. Oh, I wasn't afraid of nothing. Jump off cliffs, climb trees, you name it. I did it. Loved it. Avid skier. Can't tell you how many times I should have died on the slopes, but I love it. The adrenaline, all that youth living. It's good. Did a lot. Man, traveled the whole country. I've lived in every state in the United States. It's been a wonderful experience. And I loved deeply and with passion the most beautiful person in the world sitting next to me here. She has taught me what it is to walk with someone else and to love someone else with true passion, with true admiration, true respect. You know, truly, she's a better person than I ever would be. And she will never admit to that. My grandfather, who is Red Hawk, he taught me all of these things. He taught me how to walk and talk with the Creator every second of the day and how to live love. When you live truth, honesty, courage, bravery, respect, and humility, and wisdom, you live the essence of love. If you look at the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, it tells you everything that love is. In that description are those 7 things. That's love. If you live those 7 things, you are a loving person. Now, a lot of people I talk to go, whoa, I got most of that down. I got that. Most of that. Yeah, I do most of that. That's not enough. You got to do more than most of it. You got to do all of it, and you have to be impeccable about it. And then one day you'll hear the Creator's voice, and he'll speak to you, and it will move you like you have never been moved before. And you'll truly understand energy. You'll truly know what it is to be filled with energy. Trust me, it happens. And I can't tell you how many people have come to me that have said, yeah, I got most of that. I got it. And then they sit down and focus for 7 months and do these 7 teachings and change the conditioning of their lives. And then they hear the voice of God. And then they are different people than they were before. Hello, kitty.
Our cat has joined the call.
Yeah. Our dog earlier, your cat, Daniel. It's balance. Living love gives you great side effects. I remember when I first met Robbie, and I meet a lot of people that are chasing spiritual side effects. They love the spirit. They love doing ceremony. They love being a part of ceremony. They love that feel good thing. Sometimes love isn't always just feel good. Sometimes love is unconditional. And sometimes, you got to get slapped a little bit to understand it. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
When we realign our lives with the Creator's energy and live His truth, not our own truth, His truth, and we align our truth with His truth, when that happens, we get great spiritual side effects.
Mm-hmm.
It is the way we live that give us good side effects or bad side effects in our lives. If your life is chaotic, if your life is up and down, if your life is in and out, if some days you can't tell heads from tails and you can't tell what day of the week it is, because it's so crazy, right? And anybody that's got kids, and we have kids, we know. Anybody that's had kids understands how chaotic life can get. If it's chaos in your life, then you're missing one of the 7 teachings. You're not living one of them. To not live one of them leaves you out of balance. Let's go to a very basic teaching. There's 7 directions, right? There's north, south, east, west, up, down, and inside. When you live in balance, all 7 directions, all 7 teachings, you're living love and you're in balance. There is no chaos in your life. When you're not living one of the teachings, now you have imbalance. You have chaos. When I don't hear the Creator's voice, I know I forgot a teaching. Yeah. 7 directions. My grandfather taught me the medicine wheel. Most people know the native medicine wheel: north, south, east, west, yellow, red, black, and white, and the directional colors. Those are the 4 parts of ourselves. That's the mind, the body, the spirit. Do you feed all 4 parts of yourself equally?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question we should ask ourselves every second of the day. Do I eat every day to feed my physical body?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Do I learn something new every day?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Everybody out there learns something new every day. Right? Even if we don't think we learn something new, we still absorb information and knowledge every day. So every day we feed our mind, every day we feed our body. Every day we feel something.
Our emotions.
Right? Question is, do we recognize our spirit
In
equally?
our spirit.
Are we equal with it? What you should be doing is feeding your spirit 3 times the amount that you feed your mind, 3 times the amount that you feed your body, and 3 times the amount that you feed your emotions. So for every emotion that you have, you should feed yourself spiritual food 3 times. For every meal that you eat, you should eat 3 spiritual meals. For every new beginning, everything you learn new, you should feed yourself something new spiritually 3 times. If you did that, you would grow and your balance would become balanced. You would start living in all 7 directions. People stopped feeding their spirit. I hear people say, well, I go to church every week. I feed my spirit there. And then you starve the rest of the week. Would you do that to your body? Would you do
No.
that to your mind?
No. Mm-mm.
Would you do it to your emotions? Would you say, oh, it's Monday. I'm not feeling anything today.
We can wait until Sunday. We'll be good on Sunday. We don't want to do that.
Saturday's my emotional day. I only feel on Saturday. Right? My grandfather taught me these things because they were taught to him by his father, and his father before him, and his father before him, and his father before him. This has been passed down orally through my family for 30,000 years. I'm now orally passing that tradition on to you. Balance comes from living the purpose of man. The purpose of man is to walk and talk with the Creator every second of the day and take care of the things He gave to us to sustain us.
And you know, when you do that, it's an amazing place to be. When you get to that place, it's the craziest thing because people will say, work your magic. And it's not your magic at all. It's God working through you to help the people that He needs to help. And it's an amazing thing to do, to walk and talk with God in every moment of the day. You know, it's funny because a lot of times we would be frustrated and there'd be a problem that would arise and I wouldn't know what to do. And then I'd forget, well, wait a minute. Why am I so frustrated? Wait a minute. What am I struggling over? What am I doing? You know, do you pray? Yes, I do. Then why are you worrying about it? And you let it go and you let God work His magic through you. And suddenly everything just magically happens. And I don't know how many times I would have people come to me and they'd say, hey, will you please work your magic? Will you please get this done? And I would laugh and I'd say, I don't have magic. I can't do any of those things. But because God can and will do everything and fix anything, He can work magic and He can work miracles at every moment of every day if you only ask. And so it's an amazing thing to do, to have this in your life. It's such a gift. It's such a gift. It's such a plethora of it's not even knowledge that you've obtained. It's just an ascertaining of knowing that God is with you and that God, you know, will help not only you, but everybody that needs that help.
Living love is a lifestyle. If you live that lifestyle, He'll talk to you. You won't mistake Him. You'll know He's there.
And he will say that he told me directly, I talk to everybody. Not everybody chooses to listen.
Robbie and I have been working together 2 years now. Is it 3? It feels like a lifetime, but
Yeah, I think we've been working together. I think we first met 4 years ago, and then we started working together about 2.5 or 3 years ago. Working together to share these teachings with more people.
When Robbie came to me for the teachings, he had a lot of stuff going on in his life. Now his life is totally unrecognizable from that time. When you live love, that's what happens. Your life will change. It just will.
Mhm.
Well, I owe this to my grandfather, Red Hawk, and to my father. I also owe some of this to my grandfather, McLean, who was on the other side of my family, who also, it's kind of funny. I was at a gathering here recently and talking to my aunt, and she said, your grandfather McLean never did anything unless he asked God permission first.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that until last year. You know, so apparently it's genetic. But we all have that gene. We all have that ability to talk to God and hear him, have that great communication, that open line. I could share with you stories of prosperity and wealth. But the truth is, I don't own anything. My life has been full of abundance. I've had cars and houses and land and boats and a lot of other things, but none of them ever belonged to me. They all belonged to him. They were just mine to use for a short period of time. Recently, we've been fortunate enough to come into property, and we have a nice piece of property here that we're trying to build a greenhouse on and do some work on here for the community, to do some community outreach on. You know, it was all given to us by the Creator. He gave all of it to us. We asked, hey, let me see what I can do about that. 3 years later, we had it. It's just that simple. He wants to bless us with everything that we need, everything that we want, as long as what we want is serving him. As long as what we want is living love, right? He'll give all of that stuff
You
to
know,
us.
and if you are doing that, you are living love the way that Chris is stating, your financial worries need not to worry ever again. Chris, as we were talking about, he had the double heart attack. And I was stressed. I was worried because I didn't know how I was going to afford to pay for those things, because I was the only one working financially and I wasn't able to take care of a $300,000 bill. Well, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And so, of course, we prayed about it. And one day before that surgery came, we get a lifeline. We get a letter, and the letter says, guess what? Everything that you have is going to be paid for. You need not to worry. You need to go ahead and get the surgery done. We got everything done, everything paid for. No medical expense at all. I mean, and everything was covered. And so that was by the grace of God. And God says, no, he says, Chris, you have a purpose. You have a reason to be here. And your reason is to work for me and to share the teachings that I give to you. Because the teachings are not meant for notoriety, popularity, personal gain, and or wealth, but they are meant for the betterment of my people. And you need to go forth and tell my people about the teachings and let them know. You let them know who I am and who I always will be. You share those teachings with my people. And with that, my husband is here now, right here, right now. And he wouldn't have been, because when he walked into that surgery, into that place, they said that he was walking in like an 82-year-old man. And they said he had a month left to live. And guess what? He'll be around. We'll get that greenhouse built. We'll get this place built, and we'll get the God's word out there. Why? Because that is what God is asking us to do. And because he gave us a gift. That's why. He gave us a gift of life. And we are so internally grateful for that. We are really grateful to have this gift and to share with each and every one of you out there these teachings that helped us and that will help others. Because God is real. God is and always will be the one that we can look to for the help and guidance that we need, if obviously we learn to live and do the things that he asked us to do, and that is to live in a good way.
So the reason God gave us the teachings, right? Isn't that the question? right? Many, 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 many years ago, man was placed on this earth and he was given a job to do. And the job that he was given to do was to name all of creation, all the animals, all the plants, and all the things. So he was given a companion to do this with. That was the wolf. And so the wolf and the man went about to do the task that God had set forth before them. He's walking around, naming everything out, right? And he gets to noticing that there's male and female and everything. He gets looking at his buddy the wolf, and he's not a female, and they're not the same, and it don't work. So he goes to God and he says, God, how come you gave a mate to everybody but me? He says, because I gave you a task. You get done with your task, then I'll come back and talk to me about a mate, and we'll talk then. So man went out, he finished tasking. He did it, man. He named everything out there, gave it all a name, right? Did the job. Went back to the creator and says, hey, talking about that needing the female thing, God says, well, what do you got to give? So, well, I got nothing. I just got me. I don't have anything. He says, well, come back and talk to me when you have something to give me back. Because in all things, something must be given in order to get something back. In order to receive something, I have to give something. I have to be in exchange with the universe. So man walked away and he was all sad and downtrodden about it. The wolf saw his sadness and said, I'll give up our friendship for that. We won't be friends. We won't travel the earth together anymore. I'll travel in my pack and you travel in your pack. We won't do ceremony together anymore. So went to Creator and says, hey, this is what we're going to do. Creator says, that's a good gift. I'll take that gift. This is why we don't do ceremonies with dogs and wolves anymore. Because we gave up that so that we could have a companion. So then he went forth to make woman to walk with us. But there's a problem. Women, when he made women, he made them with love already in them. Because they're the givers of life. Because they give life. They intrinsically have love. They know how to love a little baby and take care of a little child. Nurse it. Give it all the things that it needs in order to grow strong and healthy. Men don't have that. Men weren't given that. In fact, we weren't given love, we were given a task. Weren't we? Right? This means women's purpose is different than men's, isn't it? Right? But men are assholes. We don't know how to live with other men, let alone live with another woman. Like, we don't know how to get along with people because we don't know what love is, because we don't have love, because it wasn't given to us. That wasn't intrinsically a part of who we were. We were given a task. And so we had to learn love. So the Creator gave us the 7 grandfather teachings. The 7 grandfather elders came down to earth and joined man and said, this is how you live love. You live by truth. You live by honesty. You live courageously. You live bravely. You live with respect. You live in humility. And wisdom will be bestowed upon you on how to treat people. We had to learn that in order to get along with our wives. Because we couldn't get along with them. Because they were living love and we weren't. So in order for us as men to be with a woman, we had to change our conditioning, didn't we? We had to become loving. So he gave us those 7 teachings for that. We're in a time that's really odd. This is going to sound strange to people, but men don't know how to be men. And women don't know how to be women. We've forgotten what was given to us as a gift. what we were supposed to be doing with that gift. Now, I have no problems with gay people. Let's make that really clear. Okay, my daughter is that way. She was born that way. That's just who she is. Creator made people that way. And he did that for balance. In the native culture, those people were considered spiritually balanced, both male and female. They were good. They were revered in our culture. They were not ostracized or treated poorly, but instead we sought their wisdom and understanding. Okay, so we're clear on that. Culturally, I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, I realize the church and other religious organizations would disagree with me. Okay, but I don't side with them. Okay, in regards to that, I just don't. But I do know that if people out there would learn to live love, both the women and the men who have lost sight of that, if they would learn to do that, they would hear the voice of God and they would find their place in the community in a good way. There is no balance in the communities anymore because people stopped talking to God and stopped listening to him. And so then they stopped understanding where their place was in the community. The only way you'll hear the voice of God is to live love. You have to have a clean vessel for him to reside in. And the only way your vessel will be clean is if you live love.
Mm-hmm.
That's truth. Okay. That's truth. So the Creator gave us the 7 grandfather teachings to get along with our lives. Right?
Necessary.
Right? It is very necessary. Okay. And then because of that, we have strong relationships with our friends. And because we live love, we have strong relations with our aunties and our uncles and our elders. And we raise our children to be unconditional in their love and non-judgmental in their love. People talk about the rainbow generation. The rainbow generation is that generation of people that don't see race. They just see humanity or lack therein. That's the rainbow generation.
You know, that's the way it should be. I mean, these teachings are universal. They're not meant for just, one race of being. They're universal. They're for everybody. They're for everybody to connect with God and his creation. And I really celebrate those people that look that way and see that way, because that's the way we all should be. We should be able to get along with each other and be able to accept each other for who we are.
I have Muslim friends that have taken on these 7 teachings, and it has made their belief in Allah better.
Mm-hmm.
I have Jewish friends that have applied these teachings to their lives, and it's made their understanding of Yahweh better. I've got friends that are Tibetan. I've got friends that are Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Dot, not feathers. And their understanding of what they believe in is stronger. These are universal teachings. They apply to every belief system out there.
Mm-hmm.
The prophecy, the native prophecy, states that there will come a time where all races will turn to the red road to find the balance of the people. The balance of the people comes from living love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you live love, great side effects. How are we doing on time?
We're doing good. I feel like
333.
it's 333 as you asked that. I know there is a particular story that Robbie mentioned, the story of when you fell off or kind of stepped away from the red road and how the teachings came and got you back on track. And one of those major slaps. If you're interested in sharing that story with us, yeah.
I was in my 20s. I got stupid. I got enticed by money and drugs and women and all those physical things, those living life physical things that are just like party and fun. And I got real greedy, and I was really looking for a lot of money. I was trying to build wealth and trying to build this big empire, as I put it in my head. You know, what drove me to that was that I was seeing other people and the success that they were having and the things that they had and the inconvenience of still cutting my own firewood, finding a place to pee, and living in a very rough life, so to speak, a very rugged life. And thinking to myself, well, I'd like to have a nice house or a Ferrari or, a nice car or a nicer motorcycle and so I got blinded by all that want, and I was going at it hard and heavy. And then I found partying and made a ton of friends that were really into it. Started running with a lot of bikers and doing a lot of real ugly stuff, but it was all in pursuit of greed, money. Well, to have something, to have things, I got consumed by it really bad. And then one year, spirit was like, I kept having the same dream every night for a whole year. I was driving my company van and a deer would jump across the highway and would hit the driver's side door. And it would wake me up every night. I would have that dream. And I kept thinking, what are they trying to tell me here? What are they trying to tell me? And after about 6 months of that, I went to the creator and I says, what are you trying to say? And he said, it's real simple. You either come back to me and start living the way you're supposed to live and do what you're supposed to do, or I'm going to stop your world. And I thought, whatever. And I went back to sleep and had the dream. Kept on doing what I was doing. I was having too much fun. I had a nice house, 2 cars, go-karts, and a boat. All the pot I could smoke and all the coke I could snort. It was a lot of that hedonistic shit. I don't know how else to put it. I don't like to cuss. I don't necessarily want to say filthy things, but it was manure. I don't know how else to put it. It was just a shitty way to live. But I didn't stop. And at the end of that year, I was going to a job site and I was driving down this road at 25 miles an hour. And this song came on the radio. Now, I had just been out to see this concert 2 weeks before. It was called a band called Blackfoot. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may not. But they do this song called Train, Train. You're going to find this hilarious because I certainly have. Song has a harmonica intro that sounds like a train whistle, right? And I had just seen him in concert 2 weeks before, and I'm going down this road, and that song kicks on. I was like, hell yeah. And I turned it all the way up, as high as that volume would go. And that just happened to be at the time that the train was blowing its whistle to warn me that it was on the track coming at me. I crossed the first set of railroad tracks and I heard the train whistle as not part of the song and actually looked up and realized, holy shit, there's a train. And I knew he had me. I knew he was going to get me. And I thought in a split second, time stopped. And I went, well, if I step on the gas, he'll hit the back of the truck. Maybe I'll live. So I stepped on the gas. And he hit 1 foot behind the driver's side door was the initial impact. Just like that deer in the dream, right? If I'd have stepped on the brake, he'd have hit me right there at the door. Yeah. And The truck rolled and rolled and rolled. It was like being a popcorn kernel in a popper, only you're the only kernel in it. And it rolled down the track. The train just pushed it right down the track. Finally, it hit a telephone pole. When it hit a telephone pole, it sheared the truck in half. And the front half of the truck I was in rolled up and took this lady's front porch out and rolled out onto the street in the middle of the street, you know. And I was 9 months in a traction bed, 17 surgeries. I have a cage in my spine from my T8 to my C2. The cop came up to me and he says, "We need to write you a ticket, but there's nothing in the books for this." And I says, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, nobody ever lives to give a ticket to, so nobody's ever written a ticket to anybody that's been hit by a train." And I says, "Well, then you should just let it go." He gave me a ticket for failure to yield, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Cost me $35. No points on my license. For the 9 months that I was in that traction bed, I was on morphine and all kinds of heavy medications. I was kind of in and out of it for the first 6 months. They pretty much told me that my prognosis was not good, that I would probably not walk or ever move my hands again, that I would be a quadriplegic. The lifespan of a quadriplegic is 7 years. When somebody goes into that state or becomes a quadriplegic after being active in their life, their lifespan is 7 years. Most people die within 5 years. So I was kind of looking at a kind of a rough road at that time, you know. And I remember telling the doctor that I wanted to get off the painkillers, and him telling me that that was a bad idea because I would be in such severe pain. But I had him wean me off the painkillers, and he put me on what they call Marinol, which is synthetic THC, you know, marijuana. And I was able to get my focus back because of that. And I started talking to God, started praying again. It was the first time in a good number of years, probably a good 10 years.
You know, when you're stuck in a bed, you have nothing else. You can't move. What are you gonna do? You're gonna pray. And that's what he did for 6 months, is he prayed.
So a traction bed is kind of neat because you'd be laying flat on your back. I don't know if you can see this on here. You lay on flat on your back, and then all of a sudden it'll rotate you to where you're on your side, laying sideways like this. And then it'll rotate you to where you're upside down, facing the ground. And then it'll rotate this way here and you're facing the side. And then it comes back around this way here. So every 15 minutes, you're making a rotation. At the same time, they've got this thing hooked to your feet, and they've got these bolts in your head. And every 15 minutes, they're pulling your spine like this, like an accordion. It's a fun ride.
They should call it a rotisserie bed.
They should. So I'm going through that, you know, where it's doing this rotation pulling thing, and the hopes is that it gets the circulation moving and that my spine will recover and the blood flow will go and the nerves will reattach themselves and my body will start working. But what really made the difference was talking to God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, laying there and being in surrender, surrendering my life to him again. Going to that place of humility. Looking back in that 6 months through my life in the last 10 years and realizing that I'm a piece of shit. And I mean it sincerely. And it is by his grace and his love that I walk. It is by his love and grace that I talk. It is by his grace and love that I can move and do anything. experience a heart attack. You know, right? It's a good thing.
Mhm.
But that was this starting back. It was like when I got out of traction and got back into physical rehab, and I was still another 2 years before I went back to work. During that whole period of time, I really started focusing on 7 teachings and started living them, started doing it all over again. I went back through my childhood and I learned the 4 moves of the stalker again, and I paid attention to those things that I shouldn't have. I should have been paying attention to all along. And I started living love again. Yeah.
You know, sometimes some of us have to get hit by a train in order to wake up.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys.
Well, thank you for taking the hit for many of us. And we get to learn this from the comfort of our homes and more of a grounded place. So, yeah, thank you.
That-
We've been
That
talking.
was a transition for me that was really huge. It was really hard to start all over again. You know, people always look at me now like I've figured it out. I've mastered it. Oh man, I hope to get where you're at. And, you know, I hope you do, and I hope you get there quicker than I did. I really do. And I hope everybody gets it quicker than I did, because I'm slow on the uptake. Wife calls me remedial all the time for that. Okay. But for me, that 10 years of doing those things, I look back on that now and I see where he uses that part of my life to help people that struggle from addiction and struggle from real mental problems and other issues, to help guide them out of that and into a better life through the teachings.
Mhm.
Seen a lot of healing, seen a lot of people heal because of that. And because of the experience that I had myself in those realms, it really gave me some insight in helping people come out of that in a good way.
Mhm.
You know.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So, you know, there's a big part of me that regrets that part of my life, but a big part of me that is kind of glad I did it.
Mhm.
You know, if others can learn from those things that we do, and they don't have to do and repeat those mistakes, then all is not lost. You can learn to live without creating or doing the same thing. And we can always restart. We could always go back to the beginning. If we feel as though we're lost, we can always start at the beginning of truth again. You know, as old as I am, you know, a lot of times, you know, I have to start over right at the beginning again, and humble myself in front of, and that's one of the hardest things, is to humble yourself in front of God and say, well, okay, I'm back here again. I messed up, but I'm back again, and I'd like to start over. And he welcomed you back in with open arms, you know, and so never feel as though, because maybe you fell off the bandwagon for just a little time, that you can't find God's grace, because it'll always be there. He'll always be there for you and welcome you back with open arms. You know, I mean, and never stop learning. We're all students at times. We're all teachers at times. We can never get too old to learn something new. You know, they say you can't, you know, teach an old dog new tricks. I don't believe that, because we're old dogs now and we're still learning. And that's okay. And that's okay, you know, again, because, you know, God has given us this opportunity to do so. He said, you know, go ahead. You know, this is a time, you know, for you to live life and to live love and to live the teachings and to share with others.
Life's wonderful.
It's a good time.
It's fun. And the experience of it is amazing.
It's quite a
Absolutely
show,
amazing.
quite a show,
Yeah.
quite a show.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot together. We've seen a lot, we've done a lot, you know, and it's an amazing time.
My grandfather used to say the secret to happiness is to live as many lifetimes in a season as possible. Now think about a season is only 3 months. You know, and there's been experiences that I've had that felt like an entire lifetime in less than 2 hours. I've had experiences with her that it felt like a lifetime that, took 20 minutes. You know, I've had experiences with Rob that felt like a lifetime, that happened in a 4-hour conversation. You know, that brings fulfillment. When you look back on your life and you go, wow, I can't believe I did all that, and it's not me doing any of it. It's just me having the experience that he gives to me to have and embracing that experience. That's the secret to happiness. That's the secret to fulfillment.
We've done pretty well here. It's been about an hour. We have about a few minutes left. If there's any, final words of encouragement or prayers that you guys want to share before we close.
It takes 4 moods to stalk anything in life. If you're a hunter and you're hunting something, you got to have 4 moods. You got to have sweetness. You got to be really sweet to the environment that you're in. Otherwise, you'll disturb the prey and they won't come nowhere near you. And you got to be kind. You got to be super kind to that environment and to everything in the environment. Otherwise, the blue jays will fly down and tell you that they're there. They'll be like, oh, there's a jerk in the woods. Right? You got to be patient. You got to be really patient. When you go out to stalk and hunt, you're in God's time, not in yours. In God's time. So it takes a lot of patience. And then you have to be ruthless. You have to be willing to kill it. When you stalk yourself and the things within you that you no longer need, the conditions that have been put upon you by society, by your parents, by your school system, by your priest. When you have these conditions that have been put upon you and you live these patterns again and again and again, and you find yourself making the same mistakes over and over and over, it's because you didn't stalk those things and kill them. When you use love as a weapon and you stalk yourself and you stalk those things within you that separate you from God and you kill it, then all you have is God and that light that shines. I encourage everyone here to take up the 7 grandfather teachings, everyone that hears this. My prayer has always been that everyone would learn, know, and live the 7 teachings. If we all lived love, it would be a better world. It would be a better place. If we use the 4 moves of the stalker and we use the love as our weapon, we kill those things in our lives that we no longer need, the conditioning that brings us into the same old patterns again and again. Bring fulfillment into your life this way. It's a simple, easy thing to do, and it only takes 7 months. That's a short period of time. Short period of time in a long life of happiness and fulfillment. Thank you again for inviting us, having us to be a part of it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I want to actually say a special thank to my husband. Because of my husband, thank you so much for what you've done and taught me, and shared with the world and shared with everybody out there. I want to say a special thanks. You've changed my life. And I hope that he changes yours as well. I hope that he can help you the way that he's helped me. And again, thank you. And thank you to God. I want to say thank you to God for being there with us, being a part of our life and every one of our lives. Without God, we are nothing.
It's all Him.
It's all God. Thank you. Miigwech. Kachi. Miigwech. Thank you.
So there you have it. We shared a beautiful conversation with Chris and Deb. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching, listening, experiencing this, being part of this bigger prayer for humankind to live in a more loving way, to live a more awakened life and lifestyle. And so this is the beginning of a series that we're going to be doing. So our next episode is going to be with Chris, and he's going to be sharing about the first teaching of truth. And then we're going to go through each teaching and have an episode for each teaching. So we're really excited to bring this to you. So please stay tuned, watch the next recordings because they're just going to get better and better. And if you want to learn more about the 7 teachings, if you want to learn more about how to integrate them into your life, please reach out. You can find my work at robbiejbone.com. And you can also reach out personally on my Instagram or Facebook or email. So looking forward to hearing from you, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and continue to live love, continue to live an awakened life.